This is the Multi-Orgasmic Millionaire Podcast, the only sex podcast for 7- and 8-figure conscious leaders who want to embody their pleasure and have the best sex of their lives. I'm Tilly Storm, top 20 sex coach in the world, and your host today. Welcome back. It's the first episode of 2023. Happy New Year, my love. So excited for you to be joining me for our episode today on 3 steps to epic sex date nights that get you out of a boring sexual routine. If you are ready to try some new things, if you're in a space of wanting to reclaim your sexuality, to expand your sexuality, to learn some new techniques, to try something new with your partner, because maybe you have been with your partner for years, for decades, multiple decades, and you're just wondering what more is out there that we could try together to spice things up, which I'm not really a fan of that word because I think it's really overused, but you know what I mean. You get the gist. If you are bored and you're wanting to try some new things and you're not sure what the hell to do, well, I want to suggest that you begin to plan a sex date night with your beloved, because sex date nights are not your typical date night experiences. So here's how I see it in my head. You have sex that just kind of happens, maybe spontaneously, maybe it's just, your routine that you kind of get into. And it could be a quickie. It could be just like your once a week thing that you do. And then you have a sex date night, which is completely different. It is nothing that you do on an ordinary basis because it's like this exquisite, extended experience that you put time, energy, and effort into creating for yourselves. Now, one thing that couples will run into when trying to create an epic sex date night experience is what to do, what to try, feeling like they're going to miserably fail if they try this new thing, and then, maybe one of the partners doesn't feel safe to fully open up, or maybe you run into a communication issue, or you're just not clear about actually how to go about trying the new thing. And this is why planning an epic sex date night is so important. There are 3 components to creating an epic sex date night that I'm going to share with you right now. The first is that you always want to start an epic sex date night with a communication and or a connection practice together. What is a communication or a connection practice? Well, communication practices are things that help you discuss in a very specific container parts of your sex life and your relationship that you normally would not feel safe to share outside of that container. Talking about sex is really freaking vulnerable, even for me sometimes. So being able to talk about sex very openly and honestly with your partner in a container that feels safe is what is required for a lot of couples. And sometimes it's like the longer you've been together, the harder it is. So having a communication container, a way to talk about sex that creates safety, is so vital to you expanding the fence around what does feel safe so you can try new things sexually. One of the biggest problems couples have is that over time, you will lose a bandwidth of what feels safe to do and try sexually. So you have to consciously create the container to talk about it so that you can, instead of contract around certain things that you do sexually, that you expand. The contraction will happen if you don't put time and attention into this. And you probably thinking, yeah, in every relationship I've been in, we were much more explorative. We were way more curious and adventurous in the beginning. And now that it's been a couple decades, there's hardly anything new that we ever try. We found the thing that works and we just do that thing every time. And this is really the only thing that feels safe. I tried that thing one time and holy shit, my partner went ballistic, or it didn't go as planned and it didn't turn out well. And then you tend to shut down that curiosity and adventurous spirit around trying new things sexually with your partner. So you consciously have to expand by creating a container of safety the things that you can try sexually with your partner in long-term relationships, because it's only going to get harder if you don't create communication that allows you to create the safety to expand. So what does the communication practice look like? Well, there's some very basic ones I give to you in my Tantric Sex Starter Kit that you can try out on your own. So you can go download the Tantric Sex Starter Kit at the link in the show notes. 2 of them that I give you are the talk about what you really feel communication practice and the what can I offer you right now practice. And these 2 practices are really awesome. I love them because they talk about what you really feel one is great if you have fallen into the trap of we only talk about work and the kids and there's not much depth that we really go into, and we don't really share our feelings. We don't really talk about what's really going on in our heads. So this is going to take you a level deeper than where you normally go or where you normally feel safe to go with your partner. And it's all audio guided practice. So I'm going to lead you both. All you got to do is watch the video, turn the audio on, and follow the instructions. It's really that simple. And the other one is what can I offer you right now? And this one is super great for those of you that struggle with asking for what you want. It's a communication practice to get you utilizing a new muscle when you haven't really spoken what you desire and what you want in a really long time. For people in long-term relationships who've been together decades, this is something that I find y'all really struggle with, is one of you has catered to the other partner for so long that you don't even know what you want or like. This is the people pleaser identity. This is the part of you that has just did what your partner wanted all this time, but never really had a voice for yourself. This almost always happens in relationships, that one of you loses your voice and you disconnect from what you want to please and appease your partner. And there's nothing wrong with that in terms of like, that's what your body does to make sure that you get loved and that you maintain your relationship. It's like a safety mechanism. However, it creates a lot of boring sex, or it creates unsatisfying sex for you because you aren't getting the type of sex that you truly desire. And maybe you're not even sure of what type of sex that is. So doing the what can I offer you right now practice is a way for you to begin to stretch that muscle, to utilize that muscle of speaking your wants and desires moment to moment and allowing yourself to be fluid, and that may be changing moment to moment. So go download the Tantric Sex Starter Kit now at the link in the show notes to try out that communication practice. The connection practices, well, what are those? Those are things like breath work, doing breath work together, eye gazing. So I have those 2 actually in the Tantric Sex Starter Kit as well, the eye gazing and the belly to belly breathing. These are very basic connection practices that connect you on a somatic level. Most of us are only connecting on a very mental and cortical thinking level. Our relationships, we just kind of connect via what needs to be done right now. Maybe you're a really good team together, you work really well together, but there's no deep connection in terms of like connecting with each other on an emotional or a somatic level. So when you think of it in terms of the 3-part brain system that I teach, and that is so vital to really tapping into wild primal sex and really being able to release blocks and obstacles to your pleasure, is that instead of just connecting with someone on a mental level, you want to be able to connect with them on a somatic body-based level. And this body-based somatic level, this happens through breathwork practices together, through eye gazing, through many of the tantric sex rituals that I teach in my Sex Goddess program. Another one that's super basic that you don't even necessarily need an audio guided practice for is body meditation. So doing body meditation together for 5 minutes. That's where you're just lying down side by side, and one of you is speaking the sensations you're feeling in your body and where you feel them. And then the other one will speak a sensation in their body and where they're feeling it. So you would just each take turns of one person being like, I'm feeling a fluttering in my belly right now. Then the other person would say, I'm feeling heat in my genitals. Then the other person might say, I'm feeling tension in my neck and shoulders. And then the other person would take a turn and just state whatever they're feeling and where they're feeling it. So something as simple as doing a couple's body meditation is a way for you both to somatically connect. So this is why I say start with a communication and a connection practice, because it gets you into a deeper state of connection in general. And it gives you a way to make it feel safe to talk about things around sexuality that may not feel safe to do outside of a container, and a way to share that keeps you both from getting in an argument or a fight about things and all that sort of stuff. So number one, start with the communication and or connection practice. Go download the Tantric Sex Starter Kit for 4 audio guided practices that you can try tonight. The second step to creating an epic sex date night is to try a new sex technique, like pussy or penis massage, like a 5 senses awakening play, like orgasmic touching or oming, like creating a bondage scene and acting it out, like pussy and penis worship. So I have talked about pussy and penis massage before and how to do them. That is episode 36. It's called Yoni Massage. It's with Mariah Freya. And on episode 44, I share with you how to conduct a penis massage. Now, mind you, these are very, very, very old episodes, and I even went by a different name at the time, and my website is not the same, so it's very dated, and yet the information is still super relevant, so go check it out. 5 Senses Awakening is a tantric ritual that you can do together. So there's all these different flavors of sexuality that you can try. Orgasmic touching is very sensational based. It kind of is derived from oming, but it includes, instead of just oming, it includes utilizing holistic sex techniques as part of it to create more sensation, to create more fun and play in your experience. And of course, creating and acting out a bondage scene comes from the kink world. So that can be super, super fun. Pussy and penis worship, I talked about in episode 5. Oh my God, the 5th episode of this podcast. Again, really dated and almost slightly embarrassing to even be leading anyone to those episodes, but they are there for you. I have not taken them down, and you can learn how to do sorts of things like this. And if you want expert guidance on how to try new sex techniques like the pussy and penis massage, the 5 senses awakening, orgasmic touching, the pussy and penis worship, all of this stuff is what I am offering as a bonus for those of you who book a call and sign up for Sex Goddess 2.0 no later than January 22nd. So I actually have 10 audio guided and video guided sex date nights already planned for you so that you never end up in a boring sexual routine ever again. These include so many different flavors of sexuality, so many different types of sexuality, from kink to wild primal sex to tantric sex. There's 10 different date nights that I have already crafted, curated, and given you instruction on how to do. And this is literally a bonus for signing up for Sex Goddess 2.0 private coaching with me that you can check out all the details and apply for at the link in the show notes. So this epic sex date night blueprint, these 10 sex date nights, are only sold as part of the Sex Goddess 2.0. I don't sell them separately. They are only for my private coaching clients because a lot of stuff can come up in these epic sex date nights that needs to be processed and you need support with. So it can be really challenging for couples to take all of this information and go through these epic sex date nights that I have crafted for you without support, because they will likely bring up a lot of stuff, especially the longer you've been together. And if you've been sexually shut down from your partner for a while, or you have just ended up in a super boring routine and you haven't been talking about sex at all, it's going to bring up a lot, and it's meant to. They're really fun, but they will bring up a lot that gets to be healed and integrated, which is why you need the coaching support to get through all of that. Okay. So the third step to creating epic sex date nights that get you out of a boring sexual routine is to finish with a recap, a sex date night recap. What is that? Well, that is sharing with your partner what you felt, what you thought, what happened for you in your sex date night experience, And this is so valuable because we often don't talk with our partner about what we felt or experienced, which ends up leaving them in the dark and wondering if you liked it or not. So doing a recap, it helps you feel intimate and connected and on the same page about the sex date night, which in the long run helps you feel more comfortable about talking about sex and more confident about what your partner actually wants and likes. So during the recap, you're going to take turns with no interrupting the person. There's no stopping to talk about it, hash anything out. It is letting one person share completely before the other person shares and talks about their experience. So you're going to have one of you goes first and your partner is going to share. You're not going to discuss, you're not going to get an argument, you're not going to criticize or judge them. You're going to let the partner share the answer to these two questions. What did you like the most about your date night? And what could have made it even better? So these are just prompts to get you started. So you get to share anything that you felt or experienced, but I like to suggest that you start with these two questions. What did you like the most about the sex date night, and what could have made it even better? If there's anything else you'd like to share, you're welcome to do that too. And you always want to use conscious languaging, which is meaning that you don't ever say things about your partner. You keep it focused on your own experience. So I felt this during the experience. When you did this, I felt this, or I experienced this. I experienced. See, it's not saying to your partner like, well, you did this thing to me and then it made me feel blah, 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 blah. No, that is not conscious languaging. That is communication that makes talking about sex completely unsafe. And that is why couples end up in sexless marriages or end up in a boring sexual routine, because they can't talk about it in a way that does feel good. So when you keep your experience about yourself and not your partner, it becomes more safe to share. So one of you goes and you answer those two questions and anything else you'd like to share. And then the other partner will go and share their experience of what they most liked about the sex date night and what could have made it better. And then anything else about their experience that they want to share. And then that is how you create an epic sex date night, my loves. 3 super simple steps. And if this is something that you want to try out and you would like further support and guidance for it, then I want to encourage you to book the call and apply for Sex Goddess 2.0, because you're going to get 10 epic sex date nights already done for you. You don't have to think about it. You don't have to research stuff on the internet to try to find out how to do it. I've already done all the work for you. So it's already there for you, my loves. Everything is within arm's reach. So go check it out. Apply for Sex Goddess 2.0 and sign up by January 22nd, and you will receive those 10 epic sex date nights done for you, audio guided, video guided. I show you how to do everything, and you're never going to get stuck in a boring sexual routine again. All right, my loves, thanks so much for joining me today, and here's to creating your epic sex date nights. Have so much fun, and we'll see you next week. Bye. Want to become an embodied sex goddess? Of course you do. Take the Sex Goddess quiz today and find out how. Click link in show notes or head to bit.ly/sex goddess quiz to get started.